Welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now and you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, sharing my life stories with especially syndrome, OCD and the like, along with tips and tricks along the way, as well as some words of encouragement here and there to enlighten you or to encourage you as much as I can do for you as your mental advocate, voice or what have you. It has been brought to my attention, even though, as I said before, the mental health series obviously is a broad topic, as well as all these other topics that I want to clearly share that's close to my heart, that I'm putting on hold here. Say the classic one that I might, like I said, gets a lot of hate or what have you, but it needs to be clearly addressed of the narcissist, sociopath and psychopathic behaviours, what to look out for and everything else in between there. Because at this end of time it's real, it does happen, and obviously it needs to be shared and it needs to be addressed somehow, regardless if it's us talking to one another or just reaching out for help, regardless what it may be. So, and all I'm going to do, guys, basically I'm going to just do quickly some more on the mental health series, as well as balancing up some other bits and pieces leading up before hopefully Autism Awareness Month, which is nearing really quickly, which I'm hoping to share with you all a few things that I want to share, and hopefully based on my life experiences and all that, living with it, that you guys can gain a better understanding and knowledge about me. Everyone is different, obviously, and every time I try to, express myself, sometimes it comes out the wrong way, obviously, with certain things, regardless what it may be. And hopefully that regardless of it all, that people can just, accept it or what have you. But then again, just to bear in mind also, before I, continue on for this part, especially of what I want to talk about today, of this mental health one, of the 23 truths that people with borderline or BDP wants us to know and understand, is that I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal everyday Joe vlog. So if you see any of the warning signs and symptoms that correlates to any of these series that I share, be it mental health versus whatever, please seek professional help or seek an opinion for yourself or your loved one, or just even for yourself, to keep yourself healthy and safe. Because as I said, at the end of the day, I don't forever condone any self-harm. I forever want you to be happy and free and at peace within yourselves, so on and so forth. So this one obviously is based on the article that I was reading on from the Mighty website, and obviously, I'm sure that people with BPD, will be able, borderline personality disorder it stands for, if you want to know what they share about what their life is like, about the truth of it all. And I'm sure that anyone that has been watching or is one of my viewers / subscribers may be able to agree to some of these comments of these 23 truths. But for all honesty, I'm opening up the floorboard right now for anyone else that's out there that does go through this on the everyday battle, struggle field with this, to actually maybe comment below about some more truths that we need to hear about, so we can, get rid of some of the myths and misconceptions about every other mental health disorders that is out there. So let's begin this. Number one, BPD can make it incredibly difficult to regulate your emotions. Okay, this food for thought is, I am extremely sensitive to emotional stimuli. Emotional hypersensitivity is the core of my experience of BPD. Because of this, the speed at which my emotions will fluctuate is breathtaking, and they tend to be extremes of emotion, such as elation or utter despair. I have to work hard at managing and regulating my emotions. This is very difficult, and sometimes I get overwhelmed. Number two, one way people with BPD cope with is by dissociating from their surroundings, which means psychologically or emotionally detaching themselves from what's happening to or around them. But this can often be misinterpreted by others. Think of someone who is highly sensitive of living in a cruel world. Not only does the cruel world not value sensitivity, but it inflicts trauma. That person experiencing pain will respond in genius ways, such as dissociative coping, only to have others interpret this protective response as angry and manipulative. If our community valued sensitivity and understood our responses to pain, we could enjoy life. We'd want to be present for it. Number three, dissociation or depersonalization can be incredibly scary. Depersonalization is basically a defense mechanism, usually after some kind of trauma, but when you get chronic depersonalization, however, like they do, they get caught up in the state for months. And that's what's happened. They're not depressed. The best way to describe it to us is, it would be like when you're really high on marijuana and your hands don't feel like that they're yours, or you'll say something and you're like, did I just say that? That type of thing. It was very frightening. Doctors keep saying it was depression. Number 4, BPD doesn't make people inherently mean or angry. Most people with BPD that they've met are very gentle souls. They are very kind. It's a sensitive brain combined with either trauma or invalidation. A lot of people that has the impression that BPD folks are just assholes just because the people who lash out are the loudest. The quiet ones are either misdiagnosed or they're just quiet. And there's millions of us. Most of us are very decent, sensitive people, and we don't like hurting people. This is just a notion that there's this notion that we're all angry people. People with BPD can't just choose to be a different way. People who suffer with BPD don't choose to be this way. Through lots of research and soul searching, they have come to the conclusion that their BPD was caused by a combination of 2 factors: a genetic predisposition and growing up in an invalidating environment. Number 6, and they're not doing this for intention. Many of this misconception comes through for those of people with BDP that they are doing it obviously for attention. They have encountered a large amount of stigma throughout their illness, mainly from people who assume that they have chosen to behave a certain way for attention, normally surrounding self-harming or suicidal behaviours. They would like to make it clear that choosing to harm themselves was a traumatic experience for them. 7. People with BPD basically can go through years of misdiagnosis, and it's incredibly disheartening. This person said that when they were diagnosed with bipolar a couple of times, major depression, general mood disorders, they felt nothing felt right. When one doctor finally said it sounded like BPD, and the more they learned about it, the more they read about it, they were like, this was them. Finally they were home, they have a diagnosis, they know what's wrong with them, and they know what to do now. Number 8, so when they finally get the right diagnosis, it can be a huge relief. It felt really good to know they weren't alone and struggling with it. Once they found out it was something a lot of people struggle with, they felt better because suddenly they felt it wasn't just them, wasn't just the crazy one. 9, once that diagnosis comes, it can still be exhausting process to try and find help. It's been a lot of handing off the first time that they got the help. Their advisor in their school or boarding school noticed that they had cuts and forced them to go to the counselling centre, but even if they did really know how to help them, obviously the therapist or counsellor, eventually they told this person to go home or to find a new therapist. They can't even tell you how many therapists that you've gone through because they're like, we don't know how to work with you, try this therapist. Number 10, but just one sort of health professional can make the world of difference. They felt that eventually they've developed a life-changing relationship with a psychologist, the first and only mental health professional who completely and compassionately responded to their presentation of BPD. It was this relationship that facilitated their full acceptance and burgeoning insight into the basic concept of BPD and its role in their life. Obviously, I made a mistake. It's borderline personality disorder I'm talking about here, so please forgive me if you hear the BPD abbreviated down for short, basically. So this is borderline personality disorder, not what I said before, so I really apologise in advance. Number 11, a lot of times people living with BPD are also living with other disorders, often substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. Borderline is really related to their eating disorder, and they're treated concurrently. Restricting and purging has been their ways to manage these strong emotions that they face and that they have difficulty regulating. They feel like they can't be happy and can't be sad at the same time, or just in general. They just want to numb the pain, and the behaviours that they've used to have definitely not been healthy. Number 12, BPD can make it really hard to maintain relationships. This can be really true for many people with mental health disorders. BPD has an enormous impact on their personal relationships because they are so emotionally sensitive. They can overreact to certain things that friends and family will say or do, and might then behave in a way that is unhelpful for both of them and the other person. This makes friendships very difficult. The very essence of BPD is that it has a direct impact on your ability to communicate and maintain relationships with people closest to you. You pull people in close in an intense relationship and then with no warning push them away as hard as possible. This cycle repeats over and over again because until you get treatment, you lack the skills to maintain these relationships at a functional level. On top of all that, BPD causes a larger fear of abandonment. Think, I hate you, don't leave me. Number 13. But it may even make your emotional ties stronger. They've had the privilege of spending most of the past decade in long-term committed relationships with people whom they loved fiercely and who loved them back just as fiercely. BPD provides them for more intense emotional experience, which in terms of their romantic relationship has been more of a gift than a curse. Number 14, trust is hugely important. Something that helps them with their rock solid relationship with their husband is that they are extremely supportive of that husband, that they trust them 100% so they don't experience the same relationship problems with their husband that they do with others. Okay, they said also in here, in my case, BPD stems from childhood trauma, the abuse and neglect I suffered from my father. I was left feeling worthless and unlovable with major trust issues. I live in constant fear of being rejected of the people I love and made frantic efforts to prevent it from happening. Number 15, so is validation. For many years, this person says since they were around 12, their parents thought that they were just trying to get attention by using their behaviours like self-harm, crying spells, depressive symptoms and the like. They didn't believe that they had a problem, so for a long time they didn't support their treatment and didn't want to pay for their treatment. It was really hard for them. It felt like they really felt invalidated for quite some time. Impatience is number 16. They say that they're lucky to be in a relationship with someone who is patient, who will understand them when they overreact to things, like taking too long to text me back, to me cancelling a dinner date, as well as maybe them breaking up, and seeing their best friend spend time with their co-worker makes them believe that they're alone and unloved. They can't help feeling this way, but they do their best to not let the BPD keep them from living a normal life and forming healthy relationships. Number 17, some forms of therapy work better than others. It depends on one patient and the practitioner. Obviously, it has been a given. Cognitive behavioural therapy doesn't always, go far enough for this person. I'm not dissing it, but just think that it works for certain people. If so, that's great. In DBT, which stands for dialectical behavioural therapy, however, specific kind of therapy developed for people with BPD, the skills that are aimed are for exactly to what they deal with. The core of it is mindfulness. It is also much more intensive than other therapies. It's at least a year and you go twice a week, once in a group class and then also one-on-one with a therapist. Your therapist is your coach, almost like a sponsor, and Alcohol Anonymous. If you start dysregulating and you are about to freak out or do something stupid, whether it be cutting yourself or drinking or lashing out, you call them and they talk you down. They don't engage in anger or ignore you, which other people may do, and only makes things worse. It's basically a rewiring of the brain, and if you practice every day, you'll get good at it. Be good at it. It changes your behaviour and your way of thinking. It works for them. 18, but there's often a waiting list for DBT, which can be or make treatment or getting treatment difficult. Treatment for BPD in the UK is very patchy and non-existent in many localities. The mainstay of treatment is DBT or a couple of other specialised psychotherapies, and in many areas it isn't just available or is extremely heavily rationed, so that only a tiny proportion of those diagnosed with BPD, however, does get access to it. This person personally feel or have not had any BPD specific treatment since being officially diagnosed almost 5 years ago. Their response is the only real well-known treatment for this DBT what have you, which even if you live in a town that offers it, you have to go on a waiting list. Some of it is because they don't have room for the room, but a lot of it is insurance stuff. For a while, they said they were able to do it, travelling 3 hours up to Sydney Canassi, paying out of their pocket, and it really helped them. But they had to stop for personal reasons, going on disability. They're back on the waiting list and also waiting for their Medicaid. But they'll at least be eligible again in March. It feels like they're treading water. They just want to be, return back to their old normal self again. Number 19. This can make it feel like the people with BPD have to fend for themselves. This person said when they were diagnosed with BPD and they researched it, they realised that they really needed to get themselves some DBT. Sadly, the waiting list in their area for this therapy was more than 2 years. So they decided to buy some books written by the creator of DBT, of Marsha Lennon, which were aimed at therapists and to teach them self-therapy themselves. Number 20. Sometimes the most important factor in recovery is love, support and assurance. People with BPD want and need to be loved, like anyone with mental health, but their behaviour can push and drive people that are closest to them away. They end up alone, scared, and consequently cannot see the point in continuing or living their life. What they need is the support and empathy to get the help they need, and hopefully within that, more sufferers can follow the path that they eventually did. Number 21. If we don't talk about BPD and breaking the stigma, it might keep people from getting the help they so need. Stigma is the reason more so than actual impediments of symptoms that they've struggled in their career. And it's the reason BPD research, treatment, development, peer support and community resources are so underfunded. Visibility matters. As number 22. I really don't want to recover, and I'm talking about all the steps they want to do for their steps towards recovery, and they've seen it happen in other people. It gives them hope that maybe it could happen for them. Number 23, last but not least, people with BPD are stronger than you know. This person said, with the extreme emotional reactions are so ingrained into their brain that they can't help prevent themselves from experiencing them. Instead, they have to manage them. Living with BPD is incredibly hard work, and anyone who manages to stay alive in the face of such intense pain is a hero in their books. Well, this basically ends quickly about the 23 truths of BPD, of what people want to know and understand about it. Give me the like for thumbs up for support, comment below. As I said, open for discussion. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites listed below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Feel free to also turn on the notification bell if you haven't done so, so you know that you're up to date with everything that I post right now. Feel free to private message me if the need arises, be it on AspieAnswersAll or on here on YouTube. I'll do the best I can to respond to your questions, or just needing to rant, rave, or whatever it may be. Feel free to also share these videos around to family and friends, like I said, because obviously this needs to be addressed, as well as many other topics that will be coming up as of this year or in the near future. So thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and see you all again soon. Ciao for now. Then actually